Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's a Roll20 presents Tomb of Annihilation. Though less tomb, more port. It's Port of Annihilation. We've returned to civilization. This is a fortuitous occasion, right? You've come home to the bustle and ardor of the city, and there's like other people around, and people are speaking languages you understand, and nobody is shooting grung darts at you. So it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, but you get robbed a lot more.
Yeah,
and,
well, by
like,
kobolds, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Wow, that's racist.
Listen, twice.
I mean, it's
you have been
racist and also completely accurate.
true, though. You steal shit all the time. Yeah. So where do we see the group of characters? What is your first destination in Port Nyanzaru?
I think we should go back to the Thundering Lizard just to
we should drop our stuff off.
Okay.
And also check for Azaka.
So you go back to the I believe it's called the Thunder Lizard.
Yep. Whatever. I was close.
Lizard of Thunder, Thunder Lizard, Thundering Lizard. It's fine. So the Thunder Lizard is the rowdier of the two options for staying. It is a place where all the cool people go to hang out, and it's loud and busy. We talked about it being like a multi-tier kind of tavern and bar. And when you get there, I think sort of evening is falling when you reach the ward and enter. And there seems to be like a you walk up to the door, and there's a Chultan bored-looking Chultan man sitting on a stool outside the door as you walk up.
Oh, it's real good to be back in this place. I'm really looking forward to finding myself a room and pushing.
He puts his hand up and he says, he shakes his head and he says, 1 gold piece cover charge tonight.
What?
Why?
He puts his hands out because the author is in session. There's an event. If you want to come in, it's a gold piece.
What's so special about the tonight?
He points, and there's a sign that someone has painted. It's a big sign, and it's got like nice calligraphy, but the ink is like run a little in the heat and the rain, and it says 1 night only, in quotes, and then it says the amazing, the wonderful.
Oh,
the well-traveled Volothamp Gedarm, author of such works, and then the text gets really small as the calligrapher had to like get it smaller and smaller. And then next to it, there's another picture of a kind of like it's like a Renaissance style like oil painting of a man with a very fashionable goatee and like kind of a floppy hat, like posing for a painting. And I think he's holding a like a spyglass in one hand and kind of looking jauntily off into the distance.
He's got a good hat choice.
Yeah, this is a nice floppy beret kind of thing going on.
Okay.
Like recognized game here with the hat. You're just like, hey,
I'll pay because I need to talk to that guy anyway.
And he
Wait. A gold? Do we get an individual audience with this author?
I don't set the price. I just take the gold. So if you want in, pay up.
Okay, fine. And I just like dig in my belt pouch and I pull out 4 gold and I just put it in his hand. I'm like, there.
Hops it up and down his hand, tucks it in his belt, and he says, thank you, and gestures like, go on in.
Okay.
So you come in, and this place is crowded. Like there is a massive crowd of people. And Little Fox, you don't have any problem like kind of peering over people's shoulders, but it's full, and everyone is stuck. Like there's standing room, and then there's some seats, and everyone has like moved all the tables. Everyone is standing around, and in the middle of the room, on a slightly raised platform, there's a man wearing a floppy velvet hat with like chin length curly black hair. And a doublet and hose outfit.
He must be hot.
And he's standing. There's a stool. Stool has a pitcher on it. Pitcher, not a picture. A pitcher and a glass, like a cup. And he's in the middle of a story. And he says, and that's when the beholder arose from the chasm and turned its terrible eye on my party. And everyone's like quiet, and he says, but for the rest of the story, you're going to have to buy the book. And everybody kind of like groan laughs. And he says, I'm just going to take a break, everybody. Don't worry, show's not over yet. Buy a drink, tip your waitress. And he kind of like squeezes back he goes behind like a curtain. They've set up a little like VIP room.
I'm gunning for this dude right now.
I say something along the lines of, I've paid less to see an actual saint.
Hang on, I'm gonna go tell him about artists and stuff. You can come if you want, but I'm gonna,
and I'm off between people's legs, basically.
I'm trying to see if
someone who can actually persuade people of things needs to persuade people of these things.
I'm gonna see if the bulletin board where the pins were is still somewhere.
Oh my god, I have a handout. You want to see him?
Yeah.
Bam.
What a dork.
There he is. There's old Volo.
That's goals. That's hashtag goals.
He's like in Chult. He's probably like sweating through his doublet. Like, ugh, that'd be such a hot.
That's why he's got to take breaks regularly to change out his doublet.
So he went back behind this curtain.
You want to see him? All right, there he is.
He went back behind this curtain, Adam. I'm gonna go towards that curtain right away. Right.
Okay.
Right.
How are you gonna get there? Because they're not gonna just let you walk into the.
No, but I'm incredibly sneaky.
Okay, all right. So you want to make a stealth?
She's very
stealth
small and very fast. And
I'm in a huge crowd of people, and I'm like 2'9" or whatever. Yeah. I'm gonna spend inspiration on this.
Okay.
Just waiting for you to. Oh, damn.
Damn. All right, so even your party loses track of you. You just vanish.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm gonna go just talk to Volo, and then I'm gone, basically.
Okay. All right. So you slip in under the curtain, and it's a lot like slipping into the tent back in the camp, right? And Volo's like fanning himself. He's got his hat off, and he's fanning himself, and he takes a drink, and he sets it down. There's a little room. It's got like a little divan, and just stacks of books, all the same book, just stacks of them. And he's like, it's quite cramped in his little green room, and he's like, hey, he's fanning himself, and he says, he's just talking to himself, and he's like. All right, do I open with the big finish or do no, and he turns around and he's like, who was that?
Over here.
And I like walk, into view basically.
Yeah, he's looking. He's like, where is somebody there?
Yup, it's me. Hello.
Who's saying that?
No, I'm right here.
And I step out, right?
Yeah, you're out in the room, but he's just looking up.
Fucking poke him in the knee if I get close.
Okay, so you poke him and he leaps back. He's like, ha! And he looks down and he's like, huh, there's a kobold in my green room. Is somebody?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not gonna. I got a message from artists.
And he turns and he says, wait a second, are you here alone?
No.
And he crouches down, like not quite to your level, but he crouches down.
I have friends outside.
So what? The rest of your clan, they're waiting in the sewers for you. You come up here.
We went out into the jungle. Me and Little Fox and Arcturus and Malik.
I don't know who those people are. You're common, and he looks. Your commons are very good.
I've had a lot of practice. We went out into the jungle, and then we found artist timber and dragonbait.
He puts his hands up and he says, "Okay, hold on to that. Just 1 second." And he grabs a book, one of his books, and he flips through it, and he looks at you, and he's like, "No," and he flips it again, and he turns it around, and there's just like it looks like a picture of you basically, but you don't have your hat or your cape. And you're holding like a club instead of a sword. Like it's obviously not you, but like it's a drawing of a kobold from the same like subspecies of kobold. And he's like, he taps it and he says, like looking into a mirror.
Yes, it's very good. That is, yes, exactly.
That's a man. That is a male kobold.
Yeah.
So he closes the book and he says, but you don't have a tribe. You're not here from.
No, I've been here in Port Nyanzaru for a couple of years now.
What, all by yourself?
Yep.
And
ended up on a boat, over here.
Wait, what?
Well, all by herself. I just get written out. Fucking typical.
No. I mentioned you when you were out there before, but he's not listening. So I pull out paper from my bag.
Yeah, and he looks at it and he says, "Oh, wait a second, you can read too."
Uh-huh.
And
it's a
he
note.
looks over at the big stack of books and he says, "You want to buy a book?
You should read
I'll make a
this
special
note.
deal for you. You I say 2 gold. You can carry this, right?" He like picks it up and goes to just like drop it in your arms.
What's in the book?
He says, "Oh, what's in the book? What isn't in the book? You want to learn anything about monsters from here to the spine of the world? Whatever you want, monsters. Volo's Guide to Monsters. It's a fine book. You're gonna love it."
Got dragons in it.
Yeah,
Does
it's
it
got a
have
really
dragons
detailed
in it?
section about how to represent a spherical object in a square-based space. It's fascinating. The geometry chapter is great. So he just he'll just drop it on
Okay.
you.
No, okay.
And like, do you catch it, I guess?
I catch it. Is it like a really big book, like really thick, or like?
It's pretty big. It's like a medieval book, so it's
So
it's
I'm holding
illustrated and
this
stuff.
book. I'm holding this book in my hands, and I give him the note from Artis.
Yeah, you're kind of like squished under it, and he takes it,
Take this
and he
I
looks
put
it
the
over.
book on the ground. I put the book on the ground and I step on it.
You
like
stand
this.
on it, and he squints at you, and he says, he shakes his head and looks at the note, and he says, "So you weren't lying. You steal this from Artisimber, or?"
No, I even had the ring that he wears for a little bit.
He squints at you, and he's like, "Don't you lie to me, Kobold."
I'm not lying. He got
Make
stuck
a-
in a cage.
Make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Oh god, I really want to turn up, but I just can't. Oh my god.
All right. So he looks at you and he says, "I don't have a time for your stories." And he folds the paper up and he tucks it into his vest.
No.
And he says, "I got to go back on stage. My adoring crowd, they're getting restless." So,
No, but you can't yet because Artist Simber promised me a whole bunch of stuff and he didn't deliver.
Listen, little kobold, if I had a gold piece for every time Artist Simber promised somebody something, well, I'd have a lot of gold. Speaking of which,
But that's the
and
point.
he looks at the book you're standing. He looks at the book you're standing on pointedly, and he holds his hand out like.
I didn't say I was gonna buy this.
And he looks at it and he says, "Listen, I got a rule. You stand on it, you buy it."
Okay, but you have to sign it first.
And he looks at you and he says, "What do you think I was doing the whole way here? It's a long boat ride from Waterdeep."
Like
You open it, and yeah, it has this big flowery like XO Volothamp.
Okay, fine. I give him 2 gold.
All right, he
Stupid
says he takes it in his hand, tucks it into his pouch, and he says, "Best 2 gold you ever spent. Now get out of my green room."
No, what about artists?
He like hustles you out and turns around to go back out on stage.
I'm not gonna. I don't want him to keep that paper though. I'm gonna
Steal it
that.
from him.
Okay.
So while he's like pushing me out, he has to lean down to like.
Yeah,
push
to just like.
and I'm like,
get outta
hey, what are
here."
you doing? Hey, and I just sleight of hand it out of his pocket.
Okay.
So that
Yeah, make a sleight of hand check. Okay, yeah, no problem. You just snap it out of there.
I get pushed out the curtain.
And he turns back around. So while this is happening, what's everybody else doing in the crowd?
I was looking for the board that had the guides posted on it before to see if Fazaka's
Ah, okay. So we cut over to that, Arcturus. Are you by yourself, or Malik or Little Fox? Do you go with Arcturus?
No.
No, I'm looking for somewhere to put this canoe. JK. I'm sure I left it somewhere. But anyways.
no, outside there's like a post, a hitching post, and there's
Yeah,
like
and I've
a
tied
horse,
a
a canoe, a horse.
And
real
yeah,
good
Little
visual
Fox
gag.
is like pushing through the crowd looking for Ishi, of
Yeah,
course.
right. Where did Ishi go?
And so there's like this wave in the crowd of her just like walking, and people being like, I'm getting pushed out of the way.
Yep, that's good. Okay, so Valo emerges onto the stage, and you can hear him in the background telling this story. And he's a good performer. He's got the crowd in the palm of his hand. And Malik, are you with Arcturus? Are you like watching him? What are you doing?
No, I was trying to get back there because I sort of envisaged that conversation going how it went. So
Right.
I was trying to get back
Okay,
there
so
as well.
you got kind of caught up by you couldn't push through people.
Right.
But when Volo comes back out, I think you noticed this, that he's telling his stories, but every once in a while, he'll be like, And then the wizard casts a magic missile and like holds his hand up, and little circles of light go whoosh, and like fly out from his hand. And so he's using like minor spellcraft to envision the spell. And everybody's just like, ooh, ah. And he's telling this story about what a brave adventurer he is. And he's finishing off his story about him and these like minor characters he never names they return to the castle of the purple dragon, the king of Cormyr, and they like return his stolen sword, and like he's embellishing the story, and like you can hear him readying up for the pitch to get people to buy the book. And as he's doing that, I think we see a couple of employees of the come out with these like armloads of the books and start setting them down in a big pile and getting ready to take the money. And Arcturus, you walk over to the board and you start looking over it. Can you make a perception check for me?
Sure. This one.
Okay. Let me just look something up real quick. So okay. All right. So you're looking, and you're like looking at all the notices posted for guards, and then you look at there's an empty space where Azaka's was when you first got it. And then you hear a voice behind you. And we see your hand, like your blue hand on the space where the board where it was. And then you hear someone say, "Looking for someone?" And you recognize the voice. It's a lady voice.
And I turn around.
Yeah, and Azaka is standing right there.
You didn't die in the jungle. I was so worried.
And she scowls and she says, "You were worried about me? I'm surprised you're still alive."
You ran off, and there were hags, and we never heard from you again.
Well, the past is the past. What about your friends?
They are also still alive.
Even Malik?
Yes, even Malik.
And she goes a little wide-eyed. She's like, "Well, I am impressed. So did you just get lost?"
No. Malik and Little Fox guided us.
And
why did you leave?
What do you mean, why did I leave?
We went to Firefinger and got your mask, and you were supposed to guide us through the jungle, and you left.
Do you not see the way that people here look at you? And she turns, and you can see like there's a couple of Chultans like, what's up with that weird blue person?
That's just how they look at me.
She says, "Yes. They would look at me the same way, but they would act very differently. You wear your strangeness on the outside and are a novelty to them. No one here knows what you are. But if they knew what I was, I have to keep it a secret, which is why you need to tell your friends. No one can know."
You could have just said that before.
When I am in that skin, I think differently. This is not the only Azaka that there is.
Oh, like Little Fox when she gets angry.
No, different than that. It's not about anger. There is something inside of me, Arcturus. Something feral, alive, in a way and she gestures like, in a way I cannot be. These people, she looks around, they cannot know that it is there. They fear it. The tiger is deadly to them, and for good reason. If I were to lose control, they think that you are a monster that looks like a man. But I am that monster.
Well, then... And he's just like, this is a lot of information. We ran away and I wouldn't tell anyone. I don't, all of us.
She sneers slightly and you notice her like, their canines are like a little sharper than most humans. And she says, I hope not. If anyone finds out, I will never be able to return to Port Nyanzaru. I will lose my livelihood. I will have to live in the jungle alone, and I do not want that. No one can know. And she's like, you're talking at that like TV show above a whisper so we can hear you, but no one else is like listening in.
Yeah, they're all listening to Volo.
Because they're all like, oh, Volo, sign my copy. Ugh. Everybody's a big nerd over this dork.
Right.
But the two of you, you have some like intimacy in the crowd.
And he's doing this like awkward, like, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, if you're still working as a guide.
She shakes her head and she says, no, I thought that I was laying low. But when I saw you.
Not dead.
I see that. So are you here to, and she points at Volo, listen to the mighty explorer? He's more incompetent than you and your friends.
No, we went to the seer at Oralunga, like you said.
Her eyes widen a little bit.
And she told us where we need to go next.
Back into the jungle, then. Where are you going?
Well, if you were coming with us, then maybe I could tell you. But if you don't plan on going back...
She leans back and kind of side-eyes you like, don't try to play hard to get with me, fish boy. I asked you a simple question. She like pokes you in the chest.
I think we're going to Omu.
I have not heard of this place. Where is it?
Deep in the jungle by the peaks of flame. We might be going to Kirsabal first, if you've never been. The Arakokra are...
She scowls and she says, ugh, Kirsabal, no thank you. Too high up. Bird people. I have had enough of things with wings for one lifetime.
Oh, right. Well, then I guess you wouldn't want to come.
No, I should say not. But if you survive your trip into the jungle, maybe come back to Port Nyanzaru.
Chances are we'll get, I don't know, burned alive by a dragon or stomped by a cyclops. You know, no one can ever tell.
She looks you up and down and she says, no, not anymore. You and your friends, you understand the jungle now. You're one of its creatures. You'll be fine. And she like pats you on the shoulder.
Well, with an extra arm, maybe. No. Right. I'll make sure they know that you didn't die horribly alone in the jungle. Definitely didn't think. Nope.
She takes a step forward and does that thing that she does before. She like gets up in your space and she leans in and she says, "You don't have to tell your friends you saw me at all. Pretend like I'm dead. Go back out into the jungle to this Omu place. Find some pretty treasure and bring it back to me. Show me you are strong." She like grins, big toothy grin.
Okay, right. And he like his cheeks are just purple.
You're backed up against the notice board too.
Yeah, he's just like now like completely just toast. Like
yeah, and she grins seeing that she's disarmed you, and she says, maybe when you come back, you'll be strong enough to spend a whole night with me instead of just a few moments. We'll see. And she turns around and goes away into the crowd.
And Arcturus just like is nodding over and over again and like just fucking purple. Yeah, he's done. He's done. He's fucking.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, Malik, you see Valo finish his little performance, and people start going up to get like signed copies of the book, and he's handing them off. People are taking someone else is taking the money for him, and he's handing them a copy, thanking them, and being like, "Yes, I did a fight, not just a one beholder, but once I fought two." And he puts his hands up and he says, "But don't listen to me. It's all there, right in the book." And a line has formed. So the easiest way, if you want to talk to Val, is just get in line.
Right. I don't have any money though.
Yeah, but I mean, that's true. So you don't do that? You just like hang out?
What's the issue with this thing that we need?
Right. Okay. So you want to wait until Ishi shows up?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm gonna try and bluff my way past them. I pre-ordered it. I'm on the list.
So what do you want
He's
to do?
got a
You want
list.
to bluff your way to the front of the line?
Yeah.
Okay, and just be like, no, excuse me, I have business with. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a deception check, which you're quite good at.
I'm fairly good at it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I mean,
spend
naturally
inspiration.
talented.
Spend inspiration.
Good thing. Yep. All right. I think
Well
15
done.
is sufficient. So you kind of like push your way up to the front of the line, and he's like putting his hands up to the person. I think he's like saying to the last person, he's like, thank you. I'm working on a sequel, but it'll be a little while. And then you come up to the front of the line, and he sees you kind of pushing. He's like, whoa, we got an eager one. Would you like to take a look at my book? And he holds the book out, and it has this like beautiful cover, like Valo's Guide to Monsters on it.
Oh yes, well I'm a huge fan, of course.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Who isn't? I do believe you've probably met with a friend of mine already, and that went about as well as I expected it to.
And he says, I'm sorry, I meet a lot of people since I got here to Pornianzaru. Maybe you give me a name or?
Not many kobolds though. About 3 minutes ago.
He says, the one with the funny hat and the cape.
And the note from Artist Simba, yes.
And he's like, oh yeah. And he goes to he's like, wait a second. Hey, where'd it go? I had it right here. And he like looks around. Ishi, where are you? Like, do you make your appearance here? Or?
Yeah, this is where I show up and like tap Malik on the knee and like hand him the note. Like,
nice.
And I take it. I'm like, yes, I don't think she would have had to take it back if she didn't think you were going to honor the request.
And he says, you're going to have to forgive me. I never met a kobold talk like this one, dress like this one. I mean, I've seen a kobold or two in my day. Chapter 3. But
she saved your friend's life and the life of many people.
Listen, I wouldn't say Artist Simba is my friend. We're acquaintances.
He didn't believe me when I told him.
No.
I mean, come on. You look at you. You're a kobold. I'm sorry. All right. And there's people queuing up behind, like, hey, I want to copy the book. And he
One of
says,
those people gets their face palmed out of the way as a little fox like steps in behind.
and he puts his hands up again, and he says, "Oh, okay. We don't have to. This doesn't have to get impolite. Listen, I'm going to be staying here. Like, don't tell anybody. Listen, once the event is done, everybody buy a book. We'll talk. We'll have a drink. You can explain everything about old Artist Simba to me, okay?
That's fine. I don't want to threaten you into doing this. We just like to... We're owed a debt by him. He up and did one of his vanishing acts without fulfilling a promise. Said you would be good for it.
He looks at you like, oh, I see how it is.
I'm
and
sorry.
let me have you roll a persuade check. If you fail here, the idea is that he's gonna just try to slip out and like evade you because he thinks that Artist owes you money and now you're here to collect the debt.
Okay. Well, a 22 do.
Yes, yeah. So he realizes it's in his best interest not to go. So when
it's
Little Fox,
it's
when you walk up, like he gets distracted, and it's his curiosity, and Malik's like, everything's okay. We don't want to like pick a fight, but he says he looks at her and then looks at you, and he says, you travel into some strange company, Mr.
Malik. Yes, I think it'd probably make for quite a good story at some point.
He says we can talk about signing over your rights when we have a drink later, Mr. Malik. Please, my fans.
Of course, and he does like a small like bow and just like, all right,
okay,
we'll speak to him in a little bit.
So behind him, somebody walks up. It's a Chondathan, who is wearing the like robes of a priest of Savras. He's got these like spectacles on. He walks up and he says, Valo, in chapter 3, it says that you know Elminster, but in 1467 Dale Reckoning, Elminster was he was in Waterdeep, and it says here that you were in Neverwinter at that time. How do you account for this discrepancy? And Valo's like, hey, listen, we continuity is it's a slippery creature, and so like that fades away as the group of you kind of like move away.
Little Fox like picks up the dude that she knocked over and just like pops him back on his feet in his place in line and like pets him.
Yeah, he just looks at you like, wow, thanks. And the rest of the evening, like you can find a table upstairs in the upper area. But downstairs is packed for the whole rest of the night until it gets like quite late. And one of the bouncers says like, all right, everybody, like, Valo's got to rest. Volothamp has a long day ahead of him, and people start to leave, and it starts to quiet down. Arcturus, where do you end up?
If I can't, I think that Izaka disappears before I can gather my wits enough to try and run after her.
Yeah.
And so I turn back around to the notice board to see if like her picture is there, and it's not.
Yeah.
And then probably like turn back to the room at large, and like I look for my friends, but I keep getting distracted by people who might or might not be Izaka. And then probably by the time like things thin out, I can get back to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
so the group of you just kind of like meet up at a table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean we're waiting for Volo to be free, right?
Okay.
Like,
sure.
That's the idea.
All right.
Yeah, and there's a very short bit between Malik and Ishi, and it's just. I'm sorry, I didn't want to overstep. I just didn't see that going particularly well.
People don't listen to me a lot. It's not new.
Well, that's fine. If you need people to listen to you, then I can talk for you. It's what I've done my whole life.
If you're
much
talking
better
for
than
me,
that.
you're not doing the right voice.
Arcturus is
Okay, we don't get my Ishi voice. That's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was happening.
It's
Yeah, it goes, and then you turn up and you're like, oh, Arcturus.
It's like, whew, dodged a bullet there.
So y'all you're gonna stay at the inn, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
plan? Okay, so it is. There's a per night like cost. Let me see if I can find how much it is. You are in the market ward, I think.
Does it include beer?
I believe that it does. Yes.
Sweet.
Yo, why you gotta buy beer? We got the magic jug. Get the magic jug beer.
Oh, that's gauche. You show up at
In
a
the
bar with your
fucking
own beer. Damn.
With your
I
own magical jug that creates.
Someone points to a
gallons of
sign that says "No outside food, drink, or mayonnaise."
There, there is actually a thing I want to do before we talk about that, Adam.
Sure. Yeah. What's that?
I want to talk to whoever like the owner is here, or like the person in charge of like supplying stuff.
Okay.
Because I've got that cask of Tej that I want to like try and sell off, and I'm gonna see if.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, if you don't wanna like drink it or whatever yourselves, that's fine. It's 5 silver a night, for the place.
Someone please.
And how much is one
I will
gold?
pay 20 silver out of my stash of 1,004 silver pieces.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Handful of silver.
Oh, we gotta open that other chest, right? So we should look
Yeah.
while we're waiting for Volo. We should look for someone who can do that.
Yes. I have 1 heavy chest. I also have 1 skin of Zorbo and 1 50 GP gemstone.
No matter what we're doing, Arcturus is getting progressively more drunk, hiccuping and
Nice.
murmuring under his breath in Primordial.
Just like blushing and continuing to get drunk.
Murmuring to yourself about, I am a tough adventurer. I'll show
So
you.
whoever's in charge of this tavern, I want to negotiate with them about this cask.
Okay.
That's
All right. So you don't get to talk to the owner, but there's a barkeep.
yeah, like a
bartender.
guy who can make those decisions.
Yeah. So he's big Chilton dude. He's worked in this bar a long time. I'm gonna look up how much it costs retail.
Black market Tej,
Yeah.
shady Tej that you're buying from some kobold.
Yeah.
Don't go Tej.
Things to do. Here we go. Buying a special item.
Look, it's
So-
sewer Tej, okay?
Tej, let's see, a 2-gallon cask. If you want to buy it, it costs 2 silver. So 50.
Wow.
Markup.
Aw.
He'll give you a silver piece for it.
Okay.
Wow, that's not even worth. We should
No,
just drink.
we're just gonna drink it
I'm
ourselves.
gonna drink it myself.
Yeah.
He taps the
I-
sign.
I didn't realize that the life-threatening bee stuff that we went through wasn't worth very much, so I guess I'm keeping this.
Like takes it.
Yep. Okay. He looks at that, and as you're like, I'm gonna take it away, and he says to you, you better watch who you flash that around to, Ishi. Coyote's not gonna be pleased if she finds out you stole it.
Who's Coyote?
Shakes his head. How long have you lived in this city?
A long time, but I don't know everyone.
You still don't know the names of all the merchant princes.
I mean, not all of them.
There's only 7.
Wakanga's the one who always talks to me. about
Yeah,
stuff.
Wakanga is the only one who tolerates you. Get back to your seat.
Grumble. Put the Tej cask on the table,
And I'm like, apparently there's someone who would be mad if they saw me with this. We should find them and show it to them.
So
Arcturus says something in Primordial that's a response to you, but like
he's so drunk you reverted to your like native language.
yeah. Basically just making fountain noises. Like,
All right. Well, Little Fox is just gonna pop a hole in it with her thumb
Oh.
in the top of the
Yeah.
cask and like take a pull.
What
and
was
just,
the name
like,
of that? What
plop
was the
it
name of
down.
that merchant?
let me check the pronunciation guide.
Yeah.
It's spelled Kwayothe, and the E has the little
Oh, I'm.
thing.
Jeez
Thank
Louise.
God to whoever put this pronunciation in here, because my Congolese is rusty. So let me see if it gives you. Coyote.
Coyote?
Coyote.
Okay. Coyote. All right.
Not to be confused with Chakotay, different person, not the same guy. Okay, so the group of you sit there for a while, eat, drink, etc. And then Volo comes out of his room, and he does that thing where he comes down the stairs and he like has to talk to every person between you and there. He comes out of his room and he says to like a person, he's like, "Oh, thank you, yes, no, I know," and goes by another person. And he's like, "Thank you, yes, no, I'm fine, thank you." Like I got to see some friends, and he like pushes past everybody and comes downstairs and walks over to the table.
You want some Tej?
And he looks at it and he says, I think I would. Pulls a chair back, sits down.
Yeah, this is a good use of this thing. We just kind of
several empty
Lubricate this
glasses in front of
conversation.
Arcturus. Like,
Arcturus is
And he looks over and he says, "But it looks like your Triton friends beat me to it.
huh?
It's okay. There's still some left.
You know what they say about a Triton? They drink like a fish."
Arcturus laughs
Yeah,
way too
Arcturus
much.
laughs.
It's like mediocre joke. He's just like,
Yeah, and he points and
That's the funniest thing.
Yeah, he
I've
says,
ever
"See?"
heard. Like in Primordial, just
yeah.
toasted.
So, now that it's not just me, maybe you'll listen to Malik.
He turns to you, Malik, and he says, "Listen, you group, you have to be one of two things: the beginning of a bad joke or adventurers." And he turns to you, Little Fox, and he says, I haven't seen a furbolg in a long, long time. I thought it maybe never again.
Little Fox is one of a kind.
And yeah, she just like looks at him with this like totally flat expression.
And when you say that, he gets like a little serious, and he looks at you, Ishi, and he says, you say that, but it could be. By now, who knows? I mean, I hope not, but
I mean, around here anyway.
I would say Chult has a lot of things, but he looks at the table. But you, I mean, maybe all of you, you're a pretty unique.
And yeah, Little Fox just says in a very flat tone, "All my people dead," and then like the last like leader of this Tej just
Just takes the whole cast.
And he
like crosses her arms.
he
Solemnly.
says, I understand. The life of an author is a solitary one. It's a hard thing to write a book. And of course, he's carrying a copy of it, which he's put on the table. He says, we this isn't the first guide to the monsters. We've done several editions. The last one, the fourth one, nobody liked that edition. So I write another one. I think people like it better. Selling real well. And he looks at it and he says, but
Jokes.
yeah, but you don't need in my book. You got a pretty firm handle. I know, I can tell. You're all real tough. You reminded me of Kelvin Blackstaff. Yeah, he's a great wizard. And he looks at you, Malik. He says, maybe you met him or not. I don't know.
Oh, yes. Personally trained under him many years.
He squints at you and he says, listen, I don't know a lot of people down here. I came in with my publicist, but he got sick, and I just
Lots of people they don't do so well here.
you met Artis Simber. He's a close friend of mine. But well, he's on a quest, so leave old Volo here.
Yeah, we know. He promised me a whole bunch of stuff, and then he left us in the jungle by ourselves with a note.
Artis Simber likes to make promises, but he's a good guy. You seen the ring?
I wasn't lying when I said I had the ring in my hands.
But you didn't put it on.
Nope.
Well, thank Timura for that. You got good luck at least. It's a bad news, that thing. Real bad news. I was gonna write about it, I'm working on a book about magic items, but some stories, maybe they don't need to be told. I think enough people looking for that thing.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing better now out of the cage that we freed him from. Seem to have gotten his answers, at least from the Oracle, same as us. But we were hoping, since we'd survived and gotten back here, he might be of some assistance to us in our mission here. It's fairly important as well.
Maybe I can help. I know a thing or two about monsters. To be fair, most of my expertise is from up north. You want to know a thing or two about a frost giant? I got you, but the jungles.
What about snake people?
Yes, that I can help with. 1T. He points at his book. And he says, but everything that I know is in there.
Ishi's got out her own copy, looking through it right now.
Mm-hmm.
A picture of a yuan tea somewhere.
Yeah.
But you find a picture of a dragon first.
You turn the book to page 92, which details all there is to know about Yuan Ti.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's we did get that information, didn't we? The person that we're looking for in control of the zombies, the person that we're looking for in Aimu is
We did.
Yeah, Ross and C.
Ross and C.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be looking for one next on the road to fixing this. Hopefully you've not come across too much death while you're here in Chult.
Chult. Not hardly. I've been in Port Nyanzaru the whole time. You couldn't pay me enough to go out into that terrible jungle.
I'm sure you'd be fine after all your exploits.
Could he pay us enough to go out?
He says, listen, I'm here on a book tour. I'm not here to write. But maybe, and he gestures the book, maybe that will help you. It's general information. I compiled, collected, did interviews with adventurers like yourselves about the 1T, snake people, but he shakes his head. He says, practical information, that's going to be a little harder to come by. This Rasensi, you say, is a snake man. You know what kind? Which of the serpent gods he worships? Because that makes a difference.
Is there one particularly of necromancy? Those two are going to go hand in hand.
I think maybe the night serpent calls him Dendar. Terrible god, old, powerful.
Something to do with a purple triangle, holy symbol, some kind.
He shakes his head. He says, no, common misconception. The 1T don't have holy symbols in the way that Ferunian gods do. More practices, sacrifice, behaviors, taboos, that sort of thing. Old religions.
Well, this Rasensi has been raising or corrupting the... Not sure if they're technically undead or not yet. I think the jury was still out on that.
Corruption. Sounds like a Dendar to me.
Interesting. Is there anything that we can expect? We're heading out there to
Poison,
confront them.
mostly. And I mean that both literally and metaphorically. Don't trust any of these 1T. I don't like to make a generalization, but they live in a culture of a backstabbing. They rise to power by betraying each other. So keep your wits about you. And they're not beasts either. These are sort of creatures need to be... don't underestimate them.
Across this very important conversation that's happening, that's like giving real information, to us. Ishii is busy opening pages of the book and being like, Arcturus, look, Tritons!
Yeah. I mean, there is very specifically like a section on kobolds. There's a section on Tritons and furbolgs.
Yeah, Arcturus, when he sees the Triton page, like pulls the book over and like looks at it really closely, and then like from his bag like takes out a quill and like crosses something out.
No, I just
and like, writes something else in it, but it's like in like the dwarven print of Primordial, and like
and he shakes his head and he says, "Look, it's your copy, but I already have an editor or a 2 or 3." The book is done, and I assure you, everything in there is factually legal information. So he turns back to you, and he says, "So you're gonna go back into the jungle, but you don't know where Artis Simber is."
No, we went into the realm, demi-plane of some oracle. When we came out, he was gone. He can teleport. It could be anywhere.
He says to you, I just need to consult the map really quickly.
He might have headed back to where his wife was.
Here we go. Yeah. He says to you, well, if you're looking for Artis, he's probably gone to Mesero.
He mentioned it once or twice.
That's where all of this started, and for him, I think where it's going to end.
I'm more than a little interested in seeing how that all turns out. I'm sure my companions would be a little bit more amenable to that, though, if we were going to get something out of it this time, though.
He says, I got to tell you, following Artis around the jungle is going to be a dangerous undertaking. Everybody wants that ring. Zentarim, frost giants, everybody.
Oh, I just remembered something.
out of character. The like dude that I met at level 1, red side quest dude. He was dressed like the other guys, right?
He probably is Zentarum.
And she goes,
I met some of those guys before. They're in the town somewhere. I bet they know where Artis is because they're like always looking, right?
You ran into some of the Zentarum. You met a
Yeah.
Zent.
Uh-huh.
And how did you know that it was a Zentarum?
They were dressed the same as the people that came after Artis the time where we were in camp. What camp was it?
He sighs and he rolls his eyes and he says, I swear, secret societies around here, they just don't know how to operate.
Now they
People
all wear
always
badges.
know.
and in the mention of badges, she pulls out that like Order of the Gauntlet badge again. Like,
See? Badges.
And he looks at it and he says, where did you get that?
Nowhere.
like puts it back away.
He
Really
kind of
should-
he nods like, yeah, that's a good call.
yeah.
He is a faithful service to Torm, is where she got that.
Listen, if you already ran across these people, you know they're no good.
No,
Best to be avoided if you can.
we won't be asking them nicely or seeking them out, I don't imagine. It was a good idea, but we couldn't trust anything they told us.
Mumbling something about, you know who I did ask nicely, and then just spoiled it. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. So Volo says,
So
go ahead, Ish.
So it comes down to this. My friend with the book, Artis Simber, said we could come to you with the note and we would get the stuff that we were promised that he gave us, that said he would give us. So are you going to give us the stuff?
Look, here's the thing, little friend. So in the world of publishing, when you want to make a book, you got to pay for the book before people buy it. So your old pal Volo is running a little dry on the funds right about now. I have a publishing company back in Waterdeep I got to pay a lot of money to, and I got to pay for the boat to get me there. So I got to, and he like kind of gives you that gesture like,
looking very
"Ugh."
intently.
Yeah.
She's like looking very intently at him and then goes,
I want your hat.
And he puts his hand to his face. But what? But
That's what I want.
but my mama made this hat for me.
Yeah, well, that's what I want.
Make a persuasion check.
okay.
What does the note actually say?
Do you remember?
I have it written down. I have it written
Yeah,
down.
I
somewhere.
didn't write the whole note down. I just wrote
Let
Artis.
me find it because I wrote it down to say it. You got a 19. Okay. All right. Well, let's clarify what the note says. He didn't even read it. He just looked at it briefly and was like, "Hey, this is Artis's handwriting." Let's see. This was some weeks ago. Dear Peck, sorry we had to part ways. The Oracle told us something we couldn't wait on. We owe you, well, everything. I suspect our paths will cross again. XO, Artist. P.S. Dragonbait says, ham. So...
Right, so the note itself
It
doesn't
never
even
even
say
mentioned
anything about
Volo,
Volo.
but Artis did say that we could go see Volo at one point. Like
Yeah.
that Volo was
He
here.
did say that. Yeah, there isn't
Yeah.
any, like, tell Volo he has to pay you.
No.
So he looks at you, and he takes his hat off, and he, like, looks at it. And he's got this, like, enormous, brilliantly shining bald spot on top of his
Oh
head.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um,
100%.
Yeah, big Stanley Tucci bald spot. And he like, holds his hat, and he looks at you. And he says, I mean, we're all reasonable people. You wouldn't... It's a part of my image. And he gestures, and there's that Renaissance painting of him with the very same hat. And he says, I gotta use the hat to sell the books.
And Ishi like has a claw sort of slightly outstretched to take the hat.
Yeah,
But then
he's just
but
like
then when
clutching
he
it
says, like,
sadly.
when he's like clutching it sadly, she's like,
Okay, fine. You keep the hat. It's okay. You don't have to give it to me. I know what it's like to have stuff you like.
And he puts it back on.
Aw.
And he just adjusts it, and he says, you know, I'm gonna have to rethink the whole chapter about a kobolds for 6th edition. And he looks at you and he says, you know, I assumed for a while there that kobolds were some kind of hive mind, but now I see it by yourself.
Nope.
They can develop a sort of civility. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. Like, it's so backhanded.
Right? And
It's so backhanded.
he looks at the group of you, and he says, "You know, I've met a lot of adventurers in my time. Most of them are human, but this group, you are strange in ways I have not seen before. I spend so much time writing about these things, but I don't get to sit down with the subjects of my work very often. A Farbolg, a Kobold, a Triton, and if I'm not mistaken, you're from Anarok, huh?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He says, "It's a fascinating. You spend all your time looking at a book. You forget the whole world is out there."
Okay, well, next time for the next book, you should write stuff about like important people in that thing instead of just like these big general things that you see.
Oh yes, this isn't just any kobold. This is the famous duelist Ishi Snaggletooth, defeater of Herschel von Saberberg himself.
Yeah, that's me.
And he looks at you and he says, I don't know any von Saberberg, but I believe you if you say so."
This was his cloak. Not anymore though.
So she's being very generous to let you keep your hat.
And he says, "No, I appreciate that. I will remember our meeting here."
Good.
I just wonder, before we leave, surely you've been speaking to some of the locals. Any information you've got on the place?
And and I think the last shot before we go to our last break is Valo kind of rubbing his chin. He's like, now that you mention it, I might have heard a thing or two. And we like fade out. And we'll give you some Valo rumors when we get back. So stick around. We'll be right back with the conclusion of today's episode of Roll20 Presents Tomb of Annihilation. Don't go anywhere.